T.
Miss 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 T.
Can't wait for you to meet Miss T. She is the T in T.
Hello there. Okay, welcome back to Sweetteetime. And today I want to talk about something that I think there's some light misconception around, but it exists. It exists everywhere, and I don't think that people know the fullness of the where that it exists. Now, I get the great privilege of, navigating circles where I work, friend, associate with some pretty remarkable people. I would call them like mavericks in their lane. And, I notice a thing, a common pattern among, a handful of us, that somewhat, float at the top of our crafts. And, I was having a conversation with a friend about it and just trying to be an encouragement to him because he's really wrestling in the season of life that he's in. And I said, he's explaining to me what's going on, and the immediate word that comes up in me is, the word addiction. It's addiction. And so, personally, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, I don't do, things like that. I don't do your common things. And I can translate that to, non-illegal, lethal things. Like I don't consume excessively things that are not healthy for my physical being. There were moments in time as coping mechanisms that I would overconsume things like trash food and junk food and stuff like that. But that was when I was coping with an emotionally challenging thing. So until I realized that we're all, kind of got the addictive tendency in us, and we may practice it differently, but either way, anything practiced to an extreme can become a weakness for you. And so I've learned to recognize over time that whenever that addictive tendency starts to rise up in any area, that I have to build something in my life or my lifestyle that causes me not to slip into addiction. And so as I'm having this conversation with, a colleague of mine, I'm realizing that the thing where the addictive tendency was presenting itself was busyness. So I don't know how many of you out there are, driven in a way that it causes you to do things and different things and do things all over the place and doing things and doing things. You get up early to do the things and stay up late to do the things, and you're doing the things and you're doing the things. I don't recommend that. I don't know that that lifestyle is conducive for longevity of life. And I'm watching, people in the world being released from their assignment on this planet prematurely because they're not checking things like this. And so busyness is not necessarily productivity. It's sometimes a coping mechanism under the auspice of performability that gives you the impression that you're achieving when you're really not. You're just spinning your wheels and exhausting yourself and exhausting the system and exhausting the season, but not accomplishing what you're supposed to be accomplishing. So I'm a firm believer in work smarter, not harder, especially when you turn the corner into certain decades and you've lived some life. So in my 20s, the value of working harder was important because it built the working smarter in the decades that I'm in now. But I look at some of my colleagues, and some of them are still in the working harder, but they're busying themselves with projects. They're busying themselves with, servitude that's not really serving people. Let me give you an example of that. Sometimes, I get calls and, it's people, they have their challenges, they have problems, and I end up spinning my wheels solving their problem while they're out somewhere, hanging out, having frozen yogurt and kicking it. Listen to me. It's not my job to solve your stuff. It's my job to give you the wisdom that you need so that you can solve your stuff. But that's the thing that leads to busyness. But then I had to ask myself, why did you do that? Like, what was the reason that you picked up their baton and ran with it so that you're not only doing your things, but now you're busying yourself mentally, physically, emotionally with somebody else's problem solving? And the answer that I got to that was, sometimes I don't want to be looking at my own stuff. It's easier to clean up somebody else's mess, especially when you got some mess over in the corner that you just don't want to, deal with. I would rather fold laundry than clean up dog vomit. So sometimes I'll go busy myself with the other thing so I don't have to do the thing that really needs to be done. And so again, I'm realizing the addiction of busyness can be the mechanism that you use so that you don't have to deal with yourself or deal with the thing that's really hard for you or deal with the thing that may be draining emotionally for you, but it's a requirement for you going forward or upward or deeper into the unknown. And so you'll busy yourself with the depth of what's familiar instead of allowing yourself to be productive in the new thing, the hard thing, the challenging thing that's going to open the door to your fresh and new. And so again, when I explore things like addiction, because again, I grew up, in a way that I was exposed to all of those addictive tendencies, family members and friends and people around my family, like that was their regular social practice. And I just learned as a child, like that's not what I wanted for myself. I didn't want for myself because I saw the damage of that. But it doesn't mean that I didn't develop the practice of it. And so, again, I'm doing today's, podcast with the hope that it gives you some level of sobriety in how you are active throughout your day. Are you addicted to being busy to detour, distract, and avoid? Or are you productive, working smarter, not harder? And one of the ways you can identify that is, how often do you go on vacation? When you go on vacation, do you work? Do you spend more time on your phone at night when you should be sleeping, being with your family, eating a meal, sitting at a table? So this is one of the ways that you can kind of start to identify whether or not you're busying yourself as a mechanism to distract you from the thing that really requires your investment. And so I have a couple of things that I practice. And again, I say I practice because I have not mastered this. I will not pretend that I got this one down. I do not. I am one of those people. And hi, my name is T, and I'm a busyaholic. So I'm sharing my truth with you right now. This is something that I'm still working on because I've done it for 4 decades at least. I've done it for as long as I can remember. But I'm asking you not to take as long as I've taken in order to get this thing, because it's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for your physical body. Your physical body can't handle the stress of busyness, which is overtaxing the system until the system can't continue to function in a healthy way. Think about this. Like, you don't drive a car 90 miles an hour for 5 days straight. What would that do to even a race car? Like, if you ever look at race, people that are, doing the game, the racetrack games and things like that, like they're not going that fast for a long amount of time because of what it will do to the vehicle. The system is overtaxed and it can't handle the busyness, the pace of something like that. So consider your physical body. Let's just think about your physical body. Can it keep going 100 miles an hour? Day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year? It can do it for a little bit, but it's not designed to do it. That's why you have to have periods of rest. That's why we as humans have to sleep. It's so our systems can recalibrate and recover from the busyness, the activity, the stress, and the pressure of living the day-to-day lives that we're here to live. And so one of the things I want to practice, and I want to ask you to practice, is what is your detox process? Whenever you discover that you have an addiction, one of the first things you got to do is, 1, recognize it. 2, break up with it. You got to detox from it. And so what I do with busyness is a couple of things. Number one is I do scheduled, planned vacations, and I do them in a way that my staff is aware, my family's aware, and the people, because they're aware, they support it. And so I'm committed to it. So I have to do it. And so, now my staff and my family, they say, hey, isn't this about the time that you go, on your trip to wherever, whatever? And they're scheduled. I do it every year without fail, because it's part of my process of detox, detach, and cleanse, and purify, and reboot, and reset, and recalibrate, so that I can get back in the game full and strong and ready. And so now my family and my friends support the fact that I have to do these things. I didn't do them before. This is only year number 6, but I'm still practicing it. The other thing I do is, before I could even do the vacations, I had grown so much as a person, that the things that would give me peace and that would relax me before were no longer things that would do that for me. And so I had to do a process of discovery. And that initial process of discovery was trying, different things. And so I took tennis lessons. I took golf lessons. I dance. That's always been a place of peace and tranquility and uplifting for me. But I've always taught it for many, many, many years. And so I would take a lesson. Anything that's creative typically is a very good softening agent for me. I'm a very creative person. And so when I can, create things, whether it's, building something, designing something, even fashion, that's a creative thing for me. I enjoy it tremendously. So I started to, just try different things, even culinary experiences. I'm more of a eat to survive kind of gal. And so going to restaurants and sitting down and having a meal, doing that different places, doing that in different countries, exploring different cuisine, that became a new thing for me. I'm not, in the past, I've not been a very adventurous eater, but trying that, as a way to kind of detox from the brrr of life and kind of get me to settle into moments that I can kind of savor and appreciate. So you may be in the place where you can't jump to detox, but you can start the process of trying to discover what will detox you. And so I'm recommending that you do that. Again, it started with just me trying things, building a list. There are things that I tried that I'm literally not going to do that again. Not my shtick, not going to do it, don't like it, not my thing, but I tried it. There are places in the world that I've traveled that I'm just not going to go back. I experienced it. It didn't work for me, but I tried it. And because I tried it, now I know that this is the place that my friend calls it, this is your, this is your soul city. I know where my places are on the globe. And if I just go there, I know that I can tune out of the day-to-dayness of life and tune into the things that are freely given. I enjoy what it sounds like when the water crashes on the sand. For whatever reason, that thing does something for my soul. The smell of it, and it's not necessarily in the summertime, it's the winter time when it's cold and the world is still and it's cold and there's not the busyness of the beach and all the things, but you can really see the value in every grain of sand and every push of the current of the water and of the foam and the feel and the cold and the clean. It's something about the reset that happens in the winter and the water. It just does something for me. And so I'm asking you to consider examining your life. Where are you busy to avoid? Where are you busy to deflect? Where are you addicted to something that is causing you to deviate from the things that require the attention they need in order for you to become and them to become? And once you find those things, what is your process of freedom from the addiction? You have so much power. And I think we give other things more power than we give ourselves. You have the power of decision, you have the power of choice. And once you have decision and choice, everything has to line up with that. You have the power to change anything in your life that is not serving you greatly towards your destiny. And so today, not tomorrow, don't think about this, put some action around this. Today, I'm asking you to deal with the addiction. Whatever it is, deal with it. Look at it and make a plan to detox from it. And I think, addiction and desire, they're like cousins. They both drive you, but one drives you in this direction while the other one drives you in this direction. So until you can see it and then properly classify it, I'm not saying it's bad to be driven by desire. It's not bad. That's great. But what I am saying is being addicted to something where it causes you to be so actively in the wrong direction that it causes demise to your physical being, your financial well-being, and your relationships around you. I'm asking you to deal with that today. Develop the detox plan that you need for your life and the season of life that you're in, so that you're protecting the future you who's very necessary to the world that we have to live in tomorrow. We need you here. We need you healthy. We need you live. We need you well. And we need you strong, firing on all pistons. Everything is firing and working in proper cadence with everything else around you. If you don't take the time to do this intentional work, I promise you, there are consequences for this stuff. It's natural law, it's spiritual law, it's just law. You can't get away from it. So today is your day to make a decision around the addictions that are not serving you, like the one I talked about, busyness, and then make the plan, and then work the plan, and then practice the plan, and then grow from the plan. For this time next year, you'll be a completely different human, showing up in the world powerful and strong for another year and another year and another year and another year. So, as always, if this is helping you or helping people around you, make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. I think I hit all the buttons. So thank you again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time on Sweet Tea Time.